Montel Jordan bringing us back as he always does for the final segment of the week. Appreciate all of you who've been listening all week long and encourage you as always. Join the crew. Go subscribe to the Outkick podcast. Make sure you don't miss a minute. Appreciate all of our 300-plus AM, FM affiliates in all 50 states. We're adding a lot more. That's because you guys have been such zealous advocates for the show overall. So dive in, make sure that you don't miss a minute of the program, and go subscribe to the podcast today. Yesterday, I gave you my college football gambling picks. What we're doing during the football season is on Thursdays, I give you my college football gambling picks. On Friday, I give you the Outkick six-pack. And I'm going to bring in Dub, who is the biggest other gambler on the show, and I'll have him assess whether or not he likes these picks as we roll into the weekend. And last week we went 5-1 with these picks. Fingers crossed that the momentum is going to continue and we are going to continue to dominate. But let's go ahead and get riding here. This is the Outkick six-pack. I want to remind you, if you want to gamble these picks, you can go to FanDuel.com/Clay. That's FanDuel.com/Clay and get $1,000 free to gamble with for all new users. FanDuel.com/Clay. Okay, here we go with the gambling picks. Dub, I'm going to start off with Green Bay against New Orleans. I love the over 52 here. Now, I'm not sold on this Packer defense in general. They've had the ball be able to be moved against them. So far, Green Bay has scored over 40 in their first two games. I love what I'm seeing from Aaron Rodgers. I don't think the Saints can rely on winning a low-scoring game. I think there are going to be points have to be scored here. I am on the over 52 in this one. How would you assess that? Well, maybe I'll go through all my picks, and then you can break down and give me your favorites and tell me what you think of my picks, all right? So pick number one, again, Green Bay, New Orleans, the over 52. The next one I'm going to go to is maybe a bit of a surprise. I like the Raiders on the road against the Patriots. And what I would like you to do is wait a little bit on this one or buy it up to a full 7. Right now it's plus 6.5. And I also like the over in this game, 47.5. I like what I am seeing from the Patriot offense. I think the Raider offense is way ahead of where their defense is right now. 47.5 seems too low. I think it's going to take 30 from one of the teams to win this one. I think the Patriots will win, but I'm thinking the final score will be something like 31-28, which would get us way over the number in this one, which is down around 47.5. Again, I like the Raiders plus the points and the over. I also like the Bucs going on the road against Denver. Now, I know Tom Brady historically has not played well in Denver. In fact, he's only 4-7 all time in Mile High Stadium. But I think you have to consider the quality of the teams that he's ordinarily playing against in those scenarios is pretty substantial. And what do I mean by the quality of those teams that he's playing against? I mean he's going against Peyton Manning. He's going against really talented defenses. And while I think the Broncos are not awful, there's a big difference between Peyton Manning and Jeff Driscoll. I believe the Bucs, though they're starting to round into shape a little bit more. Brady has thrown an interception the first two games that he's played. But I think if you go back and watch that game that he had against the Panthers, couple of drops that kept his numbers from being extraordinary. I think the Bucs are going to get a little bit better every week. I love them to go on the road and win by a touchdown or more against the Broncos. Again, I like the Bucs -6 on the road against Denver. And then finally, or next to last, I like Dallas, Seattle. I love the over 56.5. Right now, Seattle has got the MVP, I believe, in Russell Wilson. But they also have an atrocious defense. They can't stop anybody. You saw what happened when they went up against the Patriots. Dallas, you just saw them. They can't stop anybody on defense either. They're rife with injuries. I believe Dallas going on the road, Dak has a big game, and Russell Wilson has a big game. the over 56.5. I know it's a big number, but I think each of these teams is going to go for 30, 28 or more for sure. So Dallas, Seattle, I love the over 56.5. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and give you a Monday Night Football bet because I love this number. Right now, you can get the Chiefs +4 on the road against the Ravens. I don't think the Chiefs played very well against the Chargers. They've watched that film. They've got an extra day to think about it. As good as the Baltimore Ravens have been, they're not going to have a massive home field advantage in this game. Give me Patrick Mahomes over Lamar Jackson every day and twice on Sundays and 3 times on Monday. I just believe a lot more in Patrick Mahomes than I do in Lamar Jackson going head-to-head in this one. So I'm going with the Chiefs +4. So our Outkick 6-pack of picks, and then I'm going to bring in Dub, let him analyze the picks so far as he sees them. I've got the over in Green Bay and New Orleans, over 52. I've got the Raiders plus nearly a touchdown and the over 47.5. I've got the Bucks -6 on the road against the Broncos. Dallas and Seattle, I like the over 56.5, and I like the Chiefs +4 on the road against Baltimore. Last week we went 5-1. We then also won Monday Night Football, so we had a 6-1 week last week. How do you think these picks are going to go?
Well, Clay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you my favorite bet of yours, and I'm going to give you my least favorite bet of yours.
Yep.
I'll start with the favorite. I think my favorite has got to be Kansas City plus the points heading into Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore has looked unstoppable, I will admit. But anytime I'm going to get more than a field goal with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, especially coming off
with an extra day,
especially
coming off a bad performance.
There was a dud.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
That's my favorite pick of yours so far. My least favorite is going to have to be Vegas at New England. I know Vegas looked awesome, but did you see the picture of Belichick that has been trending lately?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
How many hours of sleep do you think that guy has had this week? Maybe 4 or 5 tops total?
Yeah, he's not sleeping.
He's not sleeping, and that means he is in the lab, and he is ready to go. I mean, he's not taking this Vegas team light, especially after what we saw out of them against the Saints. And just as a general rule, I try as hard as I can never to go against the Patriots. Usually it's either play or pass with me when it comes to them. So that's my lowest grade for your 6 picks here. For me, and I also found a stat, and this is there's a lot of trends in gambling, in the gambling world, and I'm not a huge trend guy, but I think this one is pretty interesting. In the last 4 seasons, teams that start 0-2 against the spread entering Week 3 are a combined 22-7 against the spread in Week 3. It makes sense, though, because there's a lot of people betting, and you bet this team twice or 0-2, you're like, screw them. I'm not playing these guys. This applies to a number of different teams this week. 2 of them are playing each other in Tennessee and Minnesota. Even though your Titans are 2-0 straight up, they're actually 0-2 against the number. And they're playing Minnesota, who are also 0-2 against the spread. But some ones that stick out to me, Cleveland -7 against Washington. I think Cleveland is a little underrated right now. I think Washington, even though they're one of the worst teams, I still think they're a little overrated based off their Week 1 performance. So I like Cleveland laying the 7 there. And another one, it was one of your games that you had, Dallas and Seattle. I think I like Dallas plus the 5.5 in Seattle.
I don't think that's a bad bet at all.
The Seahawks offense has been incredible, but the defense, I mean, they've been in 2 shootouts so far, and Dallas coming off the improbable, the impossible, they're putting up points as well as anybody else in the league. So I like Seattle to win the game, but I like your over as well there. I think it could be a 31-34 type game either way, coin flip. So I'm going to take the plus 5.5 there.
I can't wait. How excited are you? We talked to the SEC Commissioner, Greg Sankey, earlier in the show. How excited are you just to have college football back in the SEC as well as the NFL? I'm ecstatic as we roll into the weekend.
I mean, this is going to be the first full 100% football weekend we've had. No disrespect to the college football games we've had in the last few weeks, but this is it. This is the start of college football. And just another tidbit, I think you had Kentucky in your college picks.
That's right.
I'm on Kentucky as well, even as an Auburn grad. I do not like
over a touchdown for the Wildcats on the road. What's your favorite college football picks? Do you have any there?
Honestly, it's probably Kentucky. That's coming from an Auburn fan. Auburn does not play well at that 11 o'clock kickoff under Gus Malzahn. So that game's really got me nervous. I'm nervous about Kentucky actually winning this game.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. I just can't wait. And I do think We need to give the SEC a tremendous amount of credit because we talked about this earlier in the show, and if you haven't heard it, you need to make sure you go download the podcast and listen to it. But we had Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, on, and he told us exactly what was going to happen. When college kids came back on campus in mid to late August, they were going to have a spike in overall infection rate, and then that number was going to come down substantially, and their hope in the SEC was that by the time they kicked off on September 26th, the overall pattern in the SEC states and on campus would be much declined, and it would be much safer for the games to be taking place. And not only are the games taking place, but 13 of the 14 different stadiums in the SEC are planning to have crowds present. And so it would have been easy for Greg Sankey and the SEC to panic when the Big Ten shut down and when the Pac-12 shut down and when the MAC and the Mountain West and everybody else shut down. Instead, he stayed steadfast. He listened to his medical experts. He bought as much time as he possibly could, and his steadfastness allowed the Big Ten to come back, allowed the Pac-12 to come back, the MAC, the Mountain West, everybody putting together their plans to return. If he doesn't stay strong, I think there's a very good chance that all of college football is canceled. Instead, Sankey stays strong with the SEC. The Big 12, Bob Bowlesby, credit to the Big 12 for staying strong. Credit to the ACC and John Swofford for staying strong. And now all of those leagues are going to be playing on Saturday, and the other leagues look like they're going to be trying to play again in October. And the reason why that's all allowed to happen, I think, is the strength that Sankey showed in not wanting to cancel the season when the Big Ten tried to bully him into canceling the season. So the political pressure was intense, as you heard him talk about. The overall pressure in general, what it's felt like to be fighting to play a season and find a way to get out onto the field. And I can't imagine how wild it is going to be and how much of an emotional moment it is going to be for SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey as his conference takes the field. And I know there are people all over the country who are big college football fans that can't wait for that to happen. We on this program are certainly big college football fans. I appreciate all of you for spending the time that you do with us. This is Outkick the Coverage on Fox Sports Radio.